We're going to go ahead and put this extra section of log bunk here on the sawmill. Whenever you're putting a timbery together, everything's in metric. I would say 95% of the bolts and nuts on this thing, maybe even higher, they're all going to be 17mm wrenches. So get you a good socket set, metric socket set, and get a metric backup. And I think you'll be pretty well set, folks. So right now I am loosening up a backstop over here to keep the saw head from flying off the bunk. And then I'll be bolting this other section together. So you see a backstop right here. What I'm talking about is just a simple bolt on. About our selection of sawmills, not having really any place to work on anything and not having the availability to really deal with all the multitude of fine components. When this sawmill came in, you can see it's a bolt together design, but yet the pieces are nice and solid. And of course, all your assembly components will be in a bag. So you don't have a complex structure that you would with some other designs. So you can see you got nice large sections, and pretty much it worked out very well. So we're going to go ahead and do some good bolt up here and see if I can get this knocked out. You can see we got pretty much a tongue and groove design right here. It goes right in. And it'll suck in pretty well, you'll see, with this cover plate. Again, 17mm. That's what all these are. So what we'll do is we'll get this stuff rough tightened a little bit, sucked up. That way we can get initial alignment going on. You can see it's pretty much a tongue and groove kind of setup. 17mm wrench metric. If you get a timbery model sawmill, make sure you get good metric set of wrenches, sockets, boxed in wrenches, combination wrenches, things of that nature. That'll make your life a lot easier and for you to set this thing up, folks. So what we're doing right now is we're just doing a nice rough fit right here. We moved the sawmill down, as you see. So pretty much pretty easy to move overall. You just hook your straps to it, hook it up to the tractor, pull it on back, and you're pretty well set. The dunnage here works just like a sled rails. So you're pretty well good to go. So what we're doing right here is we're just working on each little assembly. And we're not snugging this, we're just making it to where you see how we have slop on each assembly, but it's up to where we can go ahead and finesse it in when the time comes. So you can see we got nice little 17mm assemblies. You got a locking nut, it's got the little Teflon plug in there, and everything comes up. These are all part of whatever you order. When you order the base kit, it'll come with a massive plastic bag of components for bolting. When you order this, a lot of people will order the additional section of log bunk, and then it comes also with additional components. And really, what are our thoughts so far based on what we've done? And if you've been taking the adventure and learning with us, then you can pretty much surmise that really not too shabby. You know, it's a learning process. It's getting used to things, getting a handle on what you're doing. And really, I think most of you would probably agree that for $3,500 to $37,000 max worth of investment, not too shabby really. So when you look at it in that spectrum, then I think everybody can pretty much agree that it works out pretty fair. Anybody that's really dealt with any kind of components or anything know that, you know, it's sort of like we always joke, it's an evolution on how you do things, because, well, everybody knows half the time it's an uphill battle. And when the design engineers come up with this, can it be put together? Does it work? And often they use non-field conditions, they use shop floor conditions. So I guess you could say that's one of our breakaways that we're doing as far as one of our key points is all this is under field conditions, and it's to benefit you guys. And that way, you got a truck and a crate? No. You know, you could get it off the back of your truck in reality if you had a chain hoist and some block and tackle. That could work. And maybe you want to set something up for remote cabin work, things of that nature. But you can see we took this crossbar out, and now we're going to have it fall in line with these other ones right here. So we're flipping it around for us. We're going to go ahead and put it up in here. And that way, we don't have to relocate to the other side of Sawmill. And everything is done up pretty well, guys. But would I still recommend this sawmill? Yes, I would. Again, and I keep reiterating, it is an evolution. Might help if I put the bolt through on the correct side. It is an evolution. And it is a way for us to achieve what we are looking to do. So, but yes, I would recommend this sawmill. Now, could you put this thing together real fast with air tools and the like, or use a electric impact wrench, a little portable generator, things of that nature? Yeah, you can knock it out real quick, guys. Hands down, not gonna lie to you. So, It's just a matter of what you got to work with, how you want to work with it, and the like. But again, it's what you got to work with, and it's a matter of staging. So we're using very rudimentary tools. What do you have, and what can you carry in? Now, some people, if they're going to do remote site work, they may or they may not have a lot of stuff. We're going to concept, you don't. So, that's how we're approaching this. Alright, we're putting a little compression fitting on this. You can see it on this side right here. It's pretty much a horseshoe design. And you can see it's got a face clamp right here. So what the compression fitting will do is it'll clamp it in. That could probably be worked on better as far as the design. I would think you could probably come back and probably put some kind of slide bracket. That might make things easier. Because whenever you deal with bent metal, you're dealing with, well, you got stress points right there, and eventually this thing will break. That's just a metallurgical, mechanical certainty. But I can understand the reasoning behind it. So we're tightening up this side. We got the one side snugged up, sawmill side. And now what we're going to do is come back around and go ahead and finish trying to flush this up and get this track trued. And it's truing up nicely. Get a deal on 25, 50 acres of land, whatever suit you need, and you're looking to put this in place and start whittling away at building a log cabin per se. So, and there's numerous designs of log cabins out there. So if you're going to go, say, the Appalachian style log cabin, that is square beams, dovetailed joints, stacked with chinking, which is a masonry component, then I would say this could probably do you some justice. In all reality, you just got to make sure you got plenty of log bunk to handle what you're looking to do. If you're looking to, needless to say, if you're dealing with 15-foot, 20-foot lengths of timber, then you need to make sure, number one, that you have the machinery that can handle that kind of load to put it on your log bunk. Number two, make sure you have sufficient length of your log bunk to handle what you're cutting. And then, as we've learned, whittling it down and having fun. So we're going to finish doing this right here, and we're going to go ahead and get this thing set up for you. Learn from them. But you know, on a grand scheme of things, this has been quite an enjoyable process, and we'd like to thank you guys for being there with us. Hopefully, it's been a quasi-enjoyable process for y'all too. That way, you can kind of learn from our mistakes, and that's a good way to do it. And that's another reason why we are approaching these videos the way we are. Before we started this adventure, and when I say that, I'm talking about before we decided to purchase a sawmill. And we started narrowing it down and what would fit our need based on the overall diameter of the timber on our property, because we're dealing with nominal timber diameter of 20 inches on average. You've seen the logs we've put so far on the mill, and really, guys, there's some pretty decent sized timber. and we got bigger. So we got our extra section here. So that means we can put some longer ones on here. How about them apples? You know? And a lot of this, what we're doing is showing what you can do with what you have. And at the time we got this place, and still to this very day, this fits our needs nicely. Our goal, and hopefully the takeaway you're getting, will be what can we do, or what can I do to get the most out of what I have. If you got 6 acres of solid yellow pine timber, your average tree diameter is 20 inches in diameter, give or take 18, 20, or bigger. What kind of yield am I going to get? What can I do with this? And that is part of our journey, because we are learning this as well as we start. So you've seen us yield some decent beams so far. That would be very good for building. We're going to continue with doing that. So we're going to get this finished up here. Stick around. I'm going to go ahead and bolt up on it. And you can see I flipped this cross brace around so it follows suit with the rest of them. Initially when I dropped this in place, it was around the other way. And you know, that wasn't going to work too well. You need to have everything lined up right. So this will give us some definite better clearance for what we're doing here. So flipped it around. Again, it's 17 millimeter bolting assemblies on there. 17 millimeter combination wrench right there. You see the big 1.7, hopefully. And that way, we can have a little bit more room to play with when we put a nice hefty log on. But overall, if I was to assess our journey so far, I would say I am fairly well pleased at what we're accomplishing thus far. Because what costs money when you build? Your material. So, by spending $3,500 to $3,700, or if you get more log bunk, you outfit this log bunk where you could have drop a 25-foot log on it. Really, you could drop it an infinity log on it. You could put a 50 or 60 footer on it if you want to, if you had enough log bunk. You just have to make sure you have to have the machinery that can handle that kind of transport weight. That tractor, I don't think so. I think probably, depending on diameter, a 15-footer would probably be taxing it at the utmost. The goal was, when we got this, I wanted to handle on average 12 to 15-foot log lengths based on log diameter. And you're dealing with a great deal of weight, because keep in mind, you're not dealing with dry wood, you're dealing with green wood. And I'm sure everybody has seen logging equipment either transported on the road or moving on the side of the road, and seen the size of it. You're dealing with some sizable power, hydraulics, lifting capacity. So, really, I think this little sawmill could probably handle your needs nicely. Are there things that could be modified? Of course. There always is. But we're going to go ahead and finish this up right here. And once it's finished, we'll come back and show you what all we got going on. Alright, we're lag bolting this down here before we put the adjustment track on. I got some standard, I believe these are 9/16. Good old standard sized lag bolts. Using this in a nice drill here. Broke out a portable generator. So we're anchor bolting this down here. That way we are securing it to our dunnage. Goes in pretty quick overall. If you ever use a large drill, angle drill, take your time doing it. You're doing forces, torque that will flip you off a ladder, potentially. At a minimum. So we have this nice little piece of track right here. We'll be putting on here. We have our backstop right here. Got all the bolts for that. Don't lose that. And we'll see about our bolts for the last remaining bolt, shall I say, for this. I should have a couple left here. There we go. Probably the last two in the sack. So. When you get this, remember that these key openings, slots, face up. Go ahead, pop your bolt in. Got little matching holes right there, gang. Go ahead and run it on. That's the wrong nut right there. I need there's one. Again, the key opening. Pop it on in. Matches up real well. Make sure we don't lose any other parts. Now could I add reinforcement to this dunnage right here? Because you notice I only got one lag bolt on this side. Yeah, I could. Could I have drilled another hole in this and potentially put more lag bolts in place? Yeah, I could have. but I'm using the factory equipment. We're going with that. So we're going to go ahead and get this knocked out for you. Pretty much we already got it knocked out for you. We just got to put this other backstop here on and we'll call her done. Now this little backstop right here, again, 17 millimeter. And what this does is you see if it's right here, right at the end, and it prevents your sawmill from flying off the track. You only need it on one side. When it comes on one side, you have your guide rail right here. And pretty much that's all it takes. Just a little backstop. Nothing really exquisite or hardcore. Just a little preventative here. So we got a sawmill repositioned. We got the extra bunk on. Beautiful day.